Welcome back to the That Is Shit podcast. We watched Pompidou. It's like a very offensive show towards British people.
Jagger, what did you think about the show?
It was shit.
That was shit. That was shit. That was shit. That was shit. That was shit. That was shit. Yeah, that was shit. Oh, that was shit. Woke moment. That was shit. That was shit. Oh.
Let's recap it a little bit because I feel like we haven't done that for any of the shit we watched.
I know, we just
we just immediately started talking about like they watched it. Yeah, you want to recap it?
Yeah, sure. So Pompidou, he's like, I guess he's royalty, but he's the family retard or something. And they make him live in a
like an RV
an RV outside of the manor.
And it's pretty shitty.
But he still has a butler, and his wife is a dog.
Is it his wife? I don't know. It could be his pet. We don't know. But the
maybe
dog
it's
has
just his
hair.
pet.
Like girl, like I don't know.
Yeah,
Something's off with this show.
But yeah, so he lives in the RV, and he's just a fucking bumbling idiot. And all of the people, like, they're supposed to be British, but they just make noises. Like, they don't actually say any fucking words.
This is the show of noises. Yeah, this episode was called Hunger, by the way. It was the first episode. Yeah. And that was basically the theme of this episode. The whole time, Pompidou was hungry. He was just trying to find a bite to eat. Let's talk.
Yes,
and we just gotta go.
He and his
show
butler.
Sequentially.
He and his butler have all kind of misadventures trying to get some food for Pompidou. I don't remember. Was there some point in the beginning where they were in the crib and they realized they didn't have any food?
So the show,
oh yeah, because he brought him the crumb.
Yeah, the butler started out giving them like a tiny piece of hot dog for him and his dog or wife or whatever, and they cut it up, and then the dog ate both of it. So like, and then some man came and he's like, where can I fish? And
it was like Nigel fucking Thornberry pulls up at the front door, and he's like pointing at a map, like, is there any water nearby?
When you people envision Pompidou, the listeners to this podcast, I want you to picture Rosie O'Donnell in Riding the Bus with My Sister, because Pompidou, this is a show about making noise, and Pompidou loves just making noises. There's no like, but he said words. He said this one word, "fine," like in the start of the show, which was really confusing.
Yeah, he says so. It's just like.
It's just all over the place.
He's just freestyling, making noises. He has like, I feel like the actor has something he's supposed to get across, like what he would be saying, and he just makes noises but drops in a couple words.
Yeah, he'll say some words
distinguishable.
It's very weird. It's like a weird concept. I don't know what the director was just like, hey everybody, just make some fucking noise. Pretend like you're trying to say that thing, but make a different word for it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't imagine the script for a show like this.
I know, right? Are they just ad-libbing? I feel like they're just ad-libbing.
Oh my god.
They're just like, okay, at this point you're supposed to say this, so just make some fucking noises. And the audience will understand. Use your body. Like, use your body language.
Yeah. Anyway, so...
they go to the lake.
Yeah, the guy comes to the door. He's like, where's the pond? They tell him where the pond is to fish. And then they're like, oh, you know what? We should fish. But they don't say this in words. They say this in sounds. So you only figured it out through the scene progression. So then they go to the lake.
Some of it was confusing. Like, most of it was like, okay, I understand what's going on. But some of it, they're just, like, babbling and making noises like a baby. And you just have no idea what they're supposed to be discussing.
Yeah, there's, like, no, like... And it starts out like you're thrown into it, like, from the start. There's no, like, explanation. There's nothing, like, to be like... Oh, like, this is a universe where everybody talks like a bumbling idiot. I don't know. But yeah. So they go to the lake, and then...
Yeah, they pull up at the lake, and that dude, Nigel Thornberry, is there. He's sitting by the pond. It's not even a lake. It's like a pond.
Tiny
it's like
pond,
one... Yeah. It's probably like 5 inches deep. But yeah, Pompidou pulls up like a complete asshole. And just puts his chair right next to the guy and keeps pushing him over until Pompidou gets to sit right in the middle.
He's got to steal that spot, yeah.
Yeah, he's a complete asshole, is what we learn in this scene. And his butler's there just doing everything for him. And he brings it like a pool cleaning net or some shit to catch a fish.
Like a tiny fucking fish tank cleaner, and he tries to fish that just makes shit ton of noise. And just like... babbles about like a little kid, like just swinging it around. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, like the climax of this scene is that Pompidou's, I don't even know, like Pompidou tells his butler to steal the guy's fishing rod. Is that what it was?
No, the fishing rod, the dude was asleep, right? And the fishing rod got a bite. So he's like, oh, butler, like, go steal that guy's fishing rod so we can get that fish.
Yeah, right. But then, the butler, like, walks around and starts, like, kissing the guy on his face, like playing grab ass with him while he's asleep. And then the old man wakes up and pushes him in the water. And that's the end of that scene.
Instead of just going around him and grabbing the rod, he goes like fucking eerily close to the man. Like, he puts his face like right next to him, like in his shoulder, basically, to try to grab it. But my favorite part about the scene was to show the plot, like to show that time was passing. They just faded in and out of this scene like 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
they just did fade outs. It was pretty funny.
It would fade out and then just come right back in the exact same place. Like,
yeah,
that was funny. Really funny.
And then the music didn't fit at all. Like, it was like some weird
music.
happening.
Yeah, it was weird. It sounded like some children's show, like Max and Ruby music or something. Yeah, it was like a scene where the butler was trying to be sneaky and be quiet, and it was just like ding dong, like ding, like beautiful happy music.
Oh my god! Yeah, I was expecting like Pink Panther music, but no, it was like children's music.
Yeah, so that was that entire first scene, which lasted a long time.
Hell of a scene, yeah.
And then it fades out, and they're actually someplace else. They're in the forest. Pompidou is still hungry because he didn't catch a fish, and so he sees a bird in its nest in a tree, and he's like, I want to eat that, butler. Get me that bird. So the butler holds up a worm, and the bird can speak English,
yeah,
by
the bird's talking.
The bird is the only character in the whole show that actually speaks clear English.
Was it clear? Yeah, it was a little. It was the clearest.
I think it was.
It was the clearest out of everybody.
Yeah. And so the bird swoops in to get the worm, but it accidentally flies down the butler's throat. And so Pompidou rushes his butler to the hospital.
Yeah. But the bird is talking and stuff and like living in this dude's stomach.
Yeah, it's like flying around inside of him.
And
which is disturbing.
It's really fucking weird. And oh my god. Yeah, then they go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And Pompidou, meanwhile, the whole time he's thinking, man, am I hungry? You know?
He's still just hungry because he's a fat ass.
He's a selfish asshole who just loves eating, like only cares about his food cravings. So they go to the hospital, and there's like this weird, like someone got in a terrible accident next to him. His face is covered, his leg is covered, and they give him food. And Pompidou's like, oh, this is my chance. So he takes a bite out of the food.
Oh, I remember this.
And he's like, oh, that wasn't to my craving. So he puts some pepper on the food. And now the dude who is receiving the food, the dude, like, in the terrible accident, like, sneezes on Pompidou as he's eating because of the pepper.
That was so disgusting.
Yeah. It was fucking gross.
Jesus Christ, that made me cringe so hard. He sneezed right into his mouth. It was really disgusting. And they were eating just like a fried hot dog or something.
It looked really good, honestly.
It did. It looked solid. It looked crunchy. It looked pretty good. They only eat like fried hot dogs and fish and chips in this show and Jell-O.
That's true. And they eat birds.
Yeah, and birds.
Well, does it count as eating if you're not digesting? I don't know. They swallow birds. They don't eat them, I guess. But yeah, so then Pompidou's like, oh man, like I'm fucking hungry. Like I can't eat from this guy. So he's like, oh, I'll pretend to be a patient. So then I'll get food.
The most obvious, like, okay, so the patients get food. Pompidou's, he's hungry, so he's gonna lay in the bed and pretend to be sick. And then
Pompidou grabs that menu of the food, and he's Pompa getting his dick on. He's looking at that menu. He's J-O-ing to that shit. Because he's so hungry. Yeah. He's drooling. He's like, look at all this fucking food. But unfortunately for Pompa Dum Dum, they won't give him the food until like they examine him or something. I don't know. They never explained the rule, but there's a sign that just said no eating or some shit, which didn't make any sense.
So yeah, they do his examination or whatever, and there's a bunch of great gags, a bunch of really nice gags. There was the one where he gets undressed, and he just keeps throwing like clothing items over the divider. Like there's just more and more clothes he was wearing. That was kind of funny. That got a laugh out of me.
That was pretty funny.
But then he's getting stethoscoped by the doctor, and it's like. When the doctor puts it on a different part on his body, it's like a different radio station. And then he starts tweaking his nipple to change the, like, to seek through the bands.
Yeah.
But then he finally gets some food. They bring him his fish and chips and Jell-O.
And they bring him a table out, too. It didn't make any sense.
And they bring him a table. They put it on the table. He's about to start eating, and then they take the food away, and they don't let him eat it for no fucking reason.
Pompidou is crushed.
He was... I would be crushed, too.
So then, he tries to get food for his butler, or something, and he's like, I don't need to get out of the hospital. So he's like, when's the surgery for the butler, basically? And it's presumably it's like 3 weeks ahead, which doesn't make any sense because there's a live bird like flying around this man and eating his bones and building a nest and laying eggs in him. And the dude's spitting out an egg and shit. And he's like in severe pain.
So yeah, they say that it's going to be like 3 weeks until the surgery. So Pompidou goes and roofies the doctor, changes clothes with him, puts on his toupee, and then does the surgery himself.
Yeah.
Which is really spectacular.
Hell of a
really
scene.
spectacular stuff. Yeah.
Now, this was a great scene because Pompidou, while doing the surgery, he apparently does the surgery to perfection. I mean, they fade out of it. We don't know. But the bird's in a cage, looking great, looking happy. That's all you see. And then you see Pompidou, I guess he's like trying to check the time to be like, oh, successful surgery. This is the time it ended. Whatever. But he's like, oh, man, I left my watch inside of this man. And then,
yeah.
You know what? You go over this one.
Yeah, he left his watch inside the man's body, so he goes elbow deep into the guy's torso and just digs around and starts pulling out body parts. And then he goes head first and jumps inside of his body. Yeah. He goes all the way in, like he disappears inside of his butler's body. And then he pops his head back out, and he's like, like, I got my watch. Oh. And then he climbs out, and he stitches him up, and then it fades to black, and they're leaving the hospital.
Pompidou's like that dude in the Flintstones. That's exactly how that sounded.
No, what is it? The Bear Show?
Oh, yeah, the something bear. I don't know. Dewey. I forgot.
Hey, boo-boo. I need me a picnic basket.
Oh, man. So he died. He dove head first.
Yeah, he went head first into that man's body and disappeared.
Yeah.
He went into the belly of the whale, man. He went into... I wonder what he saw in there.
Yeah, then he takes him out, and he's like, fuck me, man. I'm still hungry, because he still hasn't eaten yet, right? I mean... Mm-hmm. And then... So they go back to their house, still haven't eaten yet or something. I think that's it, right? They go back to their house.
Yeah. The RV. They go back to the RV.
Yeah.
And his butler's in tremendous pain. And Pompidou, like, helps him get set up on the couch. He, like, puts a pillow behind him, and the butler's like, okay. Like, I can rest, I can go to sleep. And then the doorbell rings, and Pompidou's like, go answer the fucking door. Yeah. And so his butler goes and answers the door, and even though he didn't have to, Pompidou just follows right behind him.
Yeah.
It's just right behind him when he answers the door. And it's fucking Nigel Thornberry's back, and he just... Oh, yeah, he hands him a
card, yeah.
An apology note that says, sorry for pushing you in the lake.
Which he shouldn't be sorry for. I mean, the dude was creeping up on him, making out with him.
Yeah, the dude sexually assaulted him. And then he gives him a fish as
like, oh, I'm sorry. It was a tiny fish. We're talking like a baby fish. Like, this fish shouldn't have been thrown back in the water to grow. I mean, this was fucking... Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a limit.
Yeah. And then, so he's like, here's the fish, you can have it. And then the fish jumps out of his hand and into the butler's mouth, and he swallows it. The live fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the end, man.
In this universe, that's not okay because the fish will continue to swim around there and probably build a nest, have babies, build a life for itself in that man's body.
Yeah, I think the implication there was that they're gonna have to go back to the hospital, and Pompidou's gonna have to climb inside of his chest again to grab the fish out.
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, what do you think about this show?
It was interesting. It was unique. I gotta give it props. There were moments that were very boring, but some of the hijinks was also
there were some obscenely boring
enjoyable
moments.
I guess.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that this is the best show we've watched so far because it had no dialogue. I mean, because the dialogue was all I feel like part of it was because there was no dialogue, like no words, but I'm also like maybe that was actually like a fault, but
yeah, honestly, I the worst part of the show was all the babbling.
Yeah.
That was the worst part.
But that makes it so it can't be that bad because there's no shitty dialogue. It's just babbling. So how do you rate the show? I don't know.
True.
It was definitely
I don't know.
Funny bad.
Yeah, it was funny bad. Like I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I think I'd give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah. I'd give it a 3, I think. Which is my highest rating so far.
Yeah. 4 out of 10. It was fun.
Yeah,
there were parts of it that I liked. Parts of it were really shitty.
Parts of it just dragged on. Like, it was just obscenely long for a scene, and it was just nothing happening besides the babbling. So it was like, what am I meant to focus on? Because you're not speaking real words. So what am I supposed to be doing during this scene as a viewer?
Yeah, it was... Yeah, definitely the babbling was the worst part because of that. It was so... They just focused on it too much. Like, that's sort of the gimmick of this show, is the babbling. And they leaned into it a little too hard, I would say.
I feel like this show was like trying to be like a Mr. Bean clone, I guess. But the issue was, in Mr. Bean, like, not everybody babbled. In this show, everybody babbles.
Except for the bird.
Yeah, except for a bird, but the pet dog or whatever babbles. I don't know. Some animals babble, some don't. I guess the animal with the smallest brain in this show is the least babbling.
I think they're saying that British people are more stupid than birds.
But this show was made in England. This is a British show. You think that's anti-British?
Well, I guess they have the anti-British card, then they're able to say that.
Yeah.
Because they are British, so it's all in good fun.
Not gonna lie, this show did make me hungry.
Some of the food looked good. Like, I want some Jell-O, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. The fries and the guac, or that green goo, I know what that was.
Guacamole. The fried hot dog with guacamole on the side. And
then, at first I thought that was a ball of just fucking ketchup. No, but it was actually Jell-O, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Shit, I mean, I don't have anything else really to say about it. I mean, we can talk about the IMDb and Rotten Tomato guesses.
Oh, yeah. My guess is a 3.2 on IMDb.
Really? That's...
Or no, it's out of 5. No,
it's out of 10. It's out of 10.
It is out of 10. Yeah. So yeah, a 3.2. That's my guess.
Wow. You know what? I think the IMDb community really overrates shows. I think they give this a 5. A 5 and a...
Dang.
5.4.
Rotten Tomato. I bet you the critic score... What if the critic score is really high on this show and the general audience didn't like it?
This show was a start of a new enlightenment for the modern shows of our times.
Yeah. I bet the critic consensus was like 15, and I bet the general audience.
Shit.
The general audience was maybe like 40%.
I will say this show on Rotten Tomatoes got a 34%.
But for critics and for general audience,
For critics, 34%. For the general audience, 68%.
Dang, okay.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's see.
Oh, I found the IMDb rating. Okay.
Okay.
It is...
What was it?
It is a 4.1 out of 10.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. I mean, I gave it a 4 too, you know?
Yeah, you were on the money. You're on the money with that.
I stand by it. Well, I thought that IMDb was going to give it 3.2.
Oh. This episode, the Hunger episode we watched, got a 5.8. Somehow.
A 5.8.
So yeah, no Rotten Tomatoes. We just got IMDb, but yeah, I mean, Jagger, you want to tell anything? You want to say anything else to the audience?
That was shit.
That was shit. That was shit. That was shit. That was shit. That was shit. That was yeah. That was shit. Ooh. That was shit. Woke moment. That was shit. That was shit.